I honestly believe that everything around us is just what we all create collectively. So I had a number of friends that approached me about helping them with business plans, financial plans, for fantastic businesses that would just help change the world. Money and the involvement with money is one of those inequalities.
Tracey, what drew you to Pink Investments?
That was a great story, and if I told you the whole thing, we'd be here for half an hour.
Okay.
But through totally serendipitous means, I had the good fortune to meet Yvonne. Was just chatting away to her out of interest, really, as to what she was doing and Pink Investments. And then suddenly, she just said a couple of words, and something just totally clicked and connected through my whole system.
Wow, so what were those words?
It was philanthropy and wanting to help women. And at that point, I just kind of jolted into a different reality and thought, wow.
And what does that mean for you then, that philanthropy and helping women?
Well, I think there's a number of aspects of it with Pink Investments, which again, it's that diversity that really intrigues me. I mean, the model that we've got is that everything on the site is free for women. We're hoping to sponsor it through advertising sponsorship. So we wanted to give, and give from the heart. And then there's an additional aspect that's coming in that we're intending to set up a microfinance fund to be able to help women both in developed countries and developing. And both of those rang true for me and resonated for me. I've had a number of friends who have approached me for both personal finance help, but also company finance help. I spent 20 years in corporate world working for large multinational companies like ICI and DuPont, and running business units. So I'm very familiar with, profit and loss accounts, although my background is business strategy and economics rather than finance. But often friends had approached me and they had great ideas that they wanted to set up with new businesses. And interestingly, most of those great ideas were businesses that I really believed in, because they were businesses that were going to change the world. Very much coming from my passion and my heart of, mind, body, spirit, holistic type of stuff, spiritual stuff. So a number of women had approached me saying that they wanted to set up businesses, whether it was holistic veterinary care, or whether it was creating mandalas or setting up a healing practice. And they were very talented in those areas, but they had no idea where to begin from a business point of view or how to finance that. So when Yvonne started talking about trying to set up something to help women like that, I realised that I was already in that place, and I had already been drawn to it through friends and contacts. Yes. And then the second aspect was around trying to help women in developing countries. And part of my background and passion is Southern Africa. And I don't know where it'll end up, but I've done some work already there with Global White Lion Trust, and working with the indigenous people of Southern Africa, particularly South Africa. And, we were all birthed from the women in Africa. The entire planet came from that. And it's probably the area that's in deepest need right now to heal some of the atrocities that go on for women. And one of the things that's amazing from an economic point of view is, the World Bank has done great research that shows that if you give a woman income, or she earns income, she'll spend something like 95% of it back in the community. A guy would spend about 35%. So the fantastic thing is, if we get money into the hands of women that they can set up their own business, and it may be something there as simple as buying a bicycle so they can get, 2 sacks of corn to go and sell at the market. And if they do, they have enough money to either feed their kids more healthily, to send them to school. And because they will put the money back into the community, you don't have to do anything. You just have to get that money into the hands of women, and the rest will happen organically. And they will teach their kids to get out of that poverty cycle. So when Vonnie started talking about, setting up microfinance for developing countries as well, that's what really started to resonate for me. And I remember at university spending quite a bit of time looking at the sort of trade, not aid philosophy, and something that was, you know, really resonated for me. And I truly believe that actually empowering women to follow their passions and get themselves up and running can change the world.
That sounds really inspiring.
Well, I wouldn't have thought it would have ended up here. So yeah, I spent 20 years in the corporate world, running business units, mainly with, you know, big teams of people, which I loved. And then suddenly, and I ran my own business as well with my partner, so for about 15 years. So I have both very large company experience and also small company experience. And the two really helped educate me about, you know, each other. And then about 6 years ago, I quit all of that. And I didn't know why, I just knew that it didn't feel right, but somehow a message was coming through from somewhere, from the shiny dudes or wherever it comes from. And I took a completely different path. I quit work, we closed the business, didn't know what I was going to do, and I was led through whatever voices and intuition leads us to study with the amazing Barbara Brennan. And she used to be a NASA physicist and now does incredible energy healing work, and is probably one of the founders. I mean, I think she wrote her first book, Hands of Light, about 30 years ago. And is probably one of the founders of energy healing. So I started on that journey about 6 years ago now, and spent 4 years going through Barbara Brennan School in Europe, which was a huge, huge personal transformation for me. And it's something that I find myself using every day. It's changed my life, and I sat there at one point thinking, where do I end up with this? You know, I've done 20 years of corporate, I've done 15 years of my own small company, and now I'm doing this.
And how does that all work together for you?
Well, luckily for me, somebody who I met several years ago said to me, Trace, just trust it. You know, we always do whatever we need to do to take us where we need to get to. And I thought, yeah, right, but I don't see how all of this fits together, you know. And then I'm off living in a tin hut in South Africa, looking after white lions, and I'm thinking, where does that all fit? And then suddenly it kind of all seems to be here. And when I was writing some stuff for the website the other day, not only the philanthropy piece, but particularly the holistic mind, body, spirit piece, because I wanted to focus on the energy of money. You know, money can be dealt with in such a sorry, I'm laughing at the car beeping. So the really interesting thing was when I was writing some stuff for the website the other day, not just the philanthropy piece, but the whole mind, body, spirit, the whole holistic piece. It took me on quite a journey, my own journey. And you know, what I really wanted to convey as I started to look into it is money has been dealt with in such a dry, matter-of-fact way, particularly for women. You know, we're such emotional beings. And money is energy. And you know, it's not the dry, factual stuff that we've been led to believe it is. It has many, many aspects. It has many depths. And I truly believe that whatever your personal relationship is with money is a great indicator of what's actually your relationship with just about everything else that's going on in your life. But as I was starting to try and put that together, I remember, you know, kind of pulling my hair out and getting a bit frustrated and saying to a friend of mine, you know, I'm struggling with this because I just don't feel qualified to write about this stuff. And she looked at me and just said, oh, I might have a moment. She just said, Trace, I can't think of anybody more qualified to do it.